Hi everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee, and today I'm taking a look at Reputation. This is a game designed by Kai Kajino, who is also the designer of Scout. Ninja Star Games, who's putting this one out. I primarily know them for a lot of their trick-taking games, and so when I learned that this is an auction game by this designer and this publisher, I was interested because I like the things that Ninja Star does. They tend to make interesting games in small packages, and this one is an interesting, different form of auction. It's a little bit odd to explain, so let me give you an overview of what the game looks like, how it flows, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Here's Reputation set up on the table. Now this is a few turns, a few rounds into the game, because I think this is going to make it easier to explain the flow of everything here. Every player has their own little board down here which represents their corporation, an available pool of robot workers that they're using to auction for public projects and private projects. Now public projects, when they're won, will go between two players here, whereas the private ones will be flipped over and placed here in front of the player. The private projects are going to negatively affect a player's reputation, and whoever has the lowest reputation at the end of the game is eliminated. Public projects here will increase a player's reputation. Now both of these will be ways to try to earn money. Ultimately, players want to have the most money at the end of the game, but also need to not get eliminated by having the worst reputation. Winning these projects ties up these workers. So right now, this is my only available pool of workers to work with. Same thing with green and same thing with blue over here. So they sit on these projects until they slowly kind of siphon back to the player. Now, there is also going to be, with setup here, a CEO for each player and a special power megacorp card, but I'll explain more about these later as you understand how the game works. But suffice it to say here that your CEO is something that's going to give you more reputation as you accomplish certain objectives, and this will be a one-time use power with the megacorp card. So what's the flow of the game here? At the start of each round, there are 10 rounds to the game, players will pull workers that they have on these cards here back to their board into the break room, is it called. So one of these will come from this card here and go to this waiting area, one from a public goal, a project over here, and up to one public project on my left, which I don't have here. These workers aren't available, but they will be available next round. This is kind of a slow cool down process. These are the only workers I have to bid with. Next up, we would reveal the two projects, a public and then a private one, which I've already done. Each public project is going to come with a certain amount of money over here that players can win if they win this project, as well as positive reputation. The private one, comes with negative reputation and no money so far. This is important because as the bidding phase starts now, players can choose to either bid onto the private sector goal or the public sector project. And I keep calling them goals, they're projects. To bid on the public project, you have to place out the number of your robots as shown, printed on the card, and you have to move at least one of the money tokens to the private one. You can move over more. So let's say that I was willing to move over these 3 to try to win this project. That's my bid. The next player goes, and we just keep going around clockwise until all players pass. So the player can either pass, and it's a soft pass, so if it comes back to them, they can jump back into play. So they can try to outbid me here on the public project by placing the same number of workers and kicking mine back, but then they have to move at least one more money over to the private sector. Now, on the blue player's turn, they might say, well, I want to win this one. Even though it comes at negative reputation, they'll put one out here. Now, on my turn, I'm not winning one of these. If I was winning one of these, I would be forced to pass, but I can either try to outbid over here by moving more money tokens over, or I could outbid over here in the private sector by placing out more workers than the blue player currently has. Green is forced to pass in this situation, and now blue maybe says they come over here, kick back these green workers, and they move another token over to this side here. At some point, all players will pass, and when that happens, that's the end of the bidding phase. After the bidding phase, we're going to determine the winners here. So if you win the private sector objective, you're taking negative reputation for the end of the game, but you're also going to take all the money that has been moved over to this side, so I would win this pool over here. The workers that were on this card now have to go to this cool down phase here, so I won't have them back for a while. The winner of the public goal is going to take this card here, and it's going to go in between two players. Now, the way that works is that The two adjacent players, the two neighboring players, are going to do a private or a secret bid to co-sponsor this card. And what that means is I'm going to take a certain number of workers, green is going to take a certain number of workers, and then we're going to do a secret reveal simultaneous bid. Now, the blue player also gets to secretly choose which side they would like to do this co-sponsorship with. So they're choosing secretly the side we all reveal the workers we're willing to spend. One of the sides will win. So this card is going to get placed here between these two players. If it came down to a tie, this is the tiebreaker here. Now, the reason blue might do that is because they want workers coming in from their right and from their left so that they can get more of their workers through the cooldown process here, or they're trying to balance out the reputation, whatever it might be. So that is one round of the game, and then you go through and you return the workers that are in this break room area down to your available pool, and then that's an entire round of the game. You would do this 10 rounds. Well, this is going to be important because the number of workers that you have in your pool at the end of the game is going to give you positive reputation and is going to give you money if you're still in the game there at the end. We are going to then reveal at the end all of our private goals here, which is going to negatively affect reputation. You factor in a reputation that you've earned throughout the game from your CEOs. So, for example, if you have 5 or more workers at the end of the game, you get 5 reputation with Walker Tajimi here. And that could be important to balance out these negatives. These cards over here also positively affect your reputation. Maybe you have something like this: is when you win those co-sponsor bids, you get 2 additional reputation. So this player has done this a few times and has a lot of these positive tokens over here. So now I'm starting to get worried. Oh no, this person has no private sector goals, so they don't have much negative reputation. We reveal all of this, see what the negative amounts are, and we see that despite my best efforts, I have the worst reputation at the table. And so I'm going to be eliminated from the game no matter how much money I have. And then all players who are still in will receive a bonus of money based on how many workers they have left in their available area. And then reveal money, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game is the winner. So there you go. That is how you play Reputation. As far as auction games go, this is one of the weirder ones. It's very phase-based, right? There's 7 phases to each round, basically, and you have to go through that process. The biggest one would be the bidding phase, but it's a little bit odd feeling because you then have that co-sponsorship bidding phase. I like what that does a lot for this game, but it's definitely a strange one to explain, that once you've won the auction, we're not done with the auction yet. That being said, I think it adds a good amount to this game. It makes it feel different from other auction games I've played, and so even though I think that's honestly one of my negatives, is it has this kind of like phase feeling structure to it, each round is pretty quick. And I especially like that idea that once you've won the auction, there's 2 people, your 2 neighbors that might win the kind of secondary bonus of it, and so you get to, as the winner, put this token in one of your 2 hands and and you get a small little determination on which person you want to be the one to kind of get that co-sponsorship. But ultimately, it's up to how much the 2 players want to bid. And they definitely want to win those auctions. This game does a lot with the fact that you're only auctioning off 2 cards each round. And it does it in a unique way, whereas you're bidding on the one, you're actually throwing money away from that project towards the other one. And I think that what that does also, it ties in pretty nicely thematically. The public-facing project, which is going to be the one that you can share with other players, starts off with a lot of money on it, and you're saying, I'm this giant evil megacorporation. I'll do it for $1 billion less than them. And the next person's like, I'll do it for $3 billion less. And so you have this weird negatizing type of auction. And the other one is just getting pumped up. But that other one that's getting more money is going to have a lot of negatives with it. And so what it creates is this interesting player-driven dynamic where what I've seen is players usually want to win the selfish one, the private one, because it tends to get pumped up with a lot of money. That public-facing one, I've multiple times seen it get down to $0. Players are just trying to win it for the positive reputation because you don't want to be eliminated by having the most negative reputation. But if you take all 8 of the 8 of the money tokens that were over there and you throw it to the other one, the player who wins the private project is now coming out with a lot of money. So it's this weird player-driven balance. It requires quite a bit of understanding that, the players at the table are going to really shape and affect each other. So for me, I think that the biggest negative is just that it is an odd one to explain. It's strange, but once players see a few rounds, they kind of get it, and they get the interaction points, and then it becomes tense and quite interesting. The other negative I have with it is, unfortunately, down to kind of the production, the look of it. It doesn't bother me in a lot of ways, but I don't love the way that, for example, like the CEO cards look here. A lot of them just look kind of strangely photoshopped together, and the artwork is fine. The artwork has this kind of futuristic feel to it, but just some of the graphic design of the cards doesn't look great. Some of the graphic design of the tokens doesn't look great, but everything functions. I'm fine with that, and I like the little meeple shape for the robots that you're bidding with. That being said, man, when you get your CEO and your megacorp power, that megacorp power is brutal sometimes. It's kind of mean. It can be wildly mean in the right moment, but you only get to use it once per game. So you're sitting there kind of constantly on a knife's edge going, wow, do I use this now to kind of slow down that person? But if I do, I'll not ever get to use it again, and there might be a bigger moment later to use it. I think I should use it now. Or I should save it for later. And I think that that's good. The CEO gives you a small little direction. We're like, oh, I want to win more co-sponsorships of the public objectives. I don't necessarily want to win the public projects, but I want to co-win them. I want to win that secondary auction afterwards. I think that makes for a nice little dynamic where you get more of these positive reputation tokens, which players are going to be seeking after these a lot, because I love the tension of any game that has like an instant whoop, you're just eliminated. If you have the worst reputation, right, of all the bad mega corporations out there, you're the worst. We don't like you. Yeah, all the mega corporations are evil, but you're the worst. And so you just get eliminated from the game. And I think that that's a very funny, thematic, cool ending. There are some little thematic touches in here that I like, right? Like of those private goal cards, there's ones that are like excavation projects that has like -1 reputation on it. Whereas like the Peace First Worldwide Military Initiative is going to like ruin 4 of your reputation, because people don't like that. So yeah, it's an auction game primarily. If you look into the theme a little bit, then you see it, and it's a bit tongue-in-cheek and a bit funny in that sense. But I really like this oddball auction. I really like how focused it is with only having those 2 things, and they're very much linked together as one keeps draining money into the other. And so there's a lot going on, and a lot happens, I think, in 10 rounds. The 10 rounds of this game can also move along fairly quickly. The box has an estimated time on here of 45 minutes, and I think that that's accurate. And even with maybe a group of 4 players, I could see this one being finished in maybe faster than 45 minutes as players get to know the game. So I think for a game that puts a lot in there, doesn't have too many components, doesn't have too much going on, it rewards you for a lot. And especially that flow, that cool down of getting the robots out from the projects, back to your waiting room and back to your active pool, and that mattering a lot at the end of the game. There's a lot of great considerations. I think this one's really fun. If you like auction games, this one provides something both unique, as well as, I think, once you get past that first hurdle of learning the game, you start to internalize those rules, and it creates a lot of cool, dramatic moments. So I like that. I'm giving Reputation an 8 out of 10. I think this one does a lot with a little. I really enjoy it. It could go higher, but like there's just a few little notes here and there, like the oddness of teaching it, and the production, the way that the game looks. It doesn't scream to people. I have to kind of convince people like, no, you should try this one. So this is me trying to convince you, an 8 out of 10, saying, if you like auctions, check out Reputation from Ninja Star Games. I like this one quite a lot. My name's Chris Yee. Thanks for coming out to another Dice Tower review here. Have fun gaming.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening, where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.